Hello, welcome back to my channel, Healing with Kearra. So tonight we're doing a collective reading on the pre-shadow phase that's coming up, the pre-shadow phase to the Mercury retrograde is coming up. So at the time that I'm making this video is the night of August 2nd. And tomorrow on August 3rd, Mercury is entering into the pre-shadow space in the sky before the retrograde, which is on, I believe it was the 24th. Um, yeah, I think it was August 24th, and then it's going direct on September 15th, I believe. Um, anyways, tomorrow, though, at the time of this video uploading or it being viewed, though probably it will be today, right now, present time, likely ish, somewhere in the time that you're seeing this. Or, yeah, if it's just a few days after and it's like just begun, it's present time ish. We're entering the pre-shadow phase. So a lot of people know what Mercury retrograde is, right? It's the time whenever the planet of Mercury is it appears to be moving backwards in the sky. So, uh, they say that there can be a lot of communication issues or things just kind of not working out or not lasting in the same way. You can have like conflicts or arguments just based off of like misunderstandings. The planet of Mercury, it is about like our communication, right? But it's also about like our thought process, like our thought patterns, how we process information, how we take things in, how we learn things, how we receive things. It's like how our brain works. So yeah, sometimes Mercury, even when it's not in retrograde, can kind of like play tricks and mess around. So it's very true to the like Greek like figure that was named after. So um for me, I was born during Mercury retrograde, so I kind of feel like I like during this time things get more clear for me, or it's like easier for me. Like when a planet is in retrograde, it's an opportunity to kind of like see the other side of the coin. So some people feel as though it's like the other side of the zodiac is then being reflected. Or at the least, it's just an opportunity to see things you may have not been able to see before, see things from a different angle, see things in a different light. Especially with it being Mercury revolving like how we communicate and how we understand things. If there is some sort of miscommunication or some sort of misunderstanding, it can be a time of like going back and getting the information that you need or taking a closer look, or like I said, seeing things in a different way than you did previously. Um, so yeah, it can just be like a time of going back and double checking things and just real like so it can be a time to kind of move backwards and rework things and really make sure you have like a strong solid foundation with like how you want to approach something moving forward. um there can be a lot of benefits to like moving backwards sometimes in order to move forward in the best way. So I feel like that's a lot of what's going on with the retrogrades. It's like the planets and the energy around us just understands that there's times where we need that sense of relief. But in order to get to that, it can be really messy, like in between. And so there can be like certain miscommunication or weird things. Like for myself, I was just trying to upload a video last night. I tried to upload it at like 11 and it didn't actually upload until like an hour and a half to 2 hours ago. And it's probably like 9:30 at the time. So yeah, it was probably like 7 or 8 when it actually posted. Um, so that's a long time. I don't know what was going on with that. Um, but yeah, we're moving into that pre-shadow. So during the pre-shadow phase of retrogrades, it's like a lot of what you could be dealing with during the retrograde can start to come up. So with Mercury specifically, it's like if you are going to have any sort of conflict or miscommunication or any sort of things kind of like fall through or not work out or kind of fall apart during that time, it's like during the pre-shadow, you may start to see those signs or those inklings of how that's going to go, or you may start to see the before, if you will, of you get like little foreshadowing in your life, right? You can have little things that kind of start to come up, and it gives you a chance to look at that and kind of see like what's that going on there, or how you're going to react to it or work with that energy um, once it's in retrograde. So, or if it's like really chaotic, like for me in my life, I actually noticed that I had more like crazy, weird uh, encounters with people, or like miscommunications, or just like intense exchanges, or just I had more chaos and like upheaval going on in my life during the pre-shadow phases. So when I finally kind of like, yeah, was able to research into that and fully understand that more, it just made so much sense. And then like going back to different retrogrades over the past few years, it would always be like the day of the pre-shadow, like something would specific would happen, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And then in the post shadow too, it would always be like this full circle moment of that, and so I could really see that theme throughout my life. And so uh yeah, if you just feel like you're kind of moving through life, and then all of a sudden there's like all this stuff coming up for you, or there's all these unexpected things popping up, or you're just having uh communication issues in a way that you didn't, or you feel like someone's having a hard time understanding you, or you're having a hard time understanding them, or just something unexpected, or just all these different things, right? Or arguments or fights, or like any sort of chaos popping up. Yeah, so it's knowing that we're in the space of the pre-shadow. So it's like the space that Mercury is about to then retrograde back through. It gives us an opportunity to understand that whatever is happening during that time is one, maybe not necessarily always permanent, or two, it's happening because it's giving us an opportunity to look at that on a deeper level and do something about it, or rework it, or fix it, or give time and energy and attention into that in some way so that it can be bettered in the long run. And so sometimes the awareness, or our attention being drawn to that can happen in a messy or an uncomfortable way, if that makes sense. So yeah, when these chaotic, crazy things come up during this time, you can be like, okay, so we're in the pre shadow right now. So, this is kind of giving me an opportunity to look at this and see how I'm going to react to this, or to see like how this energy is kind of affecting my life. And then that can really help benefit us during the retrograde to like, one, navigate it more smoothly, to be like more better prepared, right? Or two, uh, utilize that time period for our best like progress forward, our best benefit, our best growth in like all the situations in our lives. And then the post shadow period is whenever, so okay, so during this time, Mercury's hit the pre-shadow phase, right? And so it's moving through the space in the sky that it's about to retrograde back through. So when a planet goes in retrograde, it appears to stop where it is, and then it actually appears to move backwards, and then it appears to stop again and move forward. So the first time it's moving through that space is called the pre-shadow phase, and then when it appears to stop and move backwards, called the retrograde phase. So we know that we're going to come back through this space, especially like right in the space where the pre-shadow and post-shadow retrograde, like where it all hits, is because the planet, like when it first stops and starts again, it seems to kind of like linger in one spot for a day or two. It takes a while to like get back up to speed, if you will. So you spend a lot of time, in this specific place in the sky right now. It's like spending a little bit extra uh, time, right? Or it will. So, like when it moves forward again, right? So right now we're here and we're going to move forward and then retrograde and then come all the way back to here. So I believe it was on September 15th. Um, Mercury will be back in the same place in the sky that it is right now. And then it will move forward again, right? And so that will be the third time moving through that space. And that is called the post shadow period to the retrograde. So during that, it's like the kind of the third and final time that it moves through. And so it's like a time of reflection. And like I was saying, in my life, I've noticed a pattern where it's like things kind of seem to come full circle, where it's like you revisit things, but then it's like from a completely different perspective, or it's like things are kind of shifted by that point. And so it's really interesting how whatever, major theme is going on in that time in your life can kind of like come around, or yeah, come back around in such an odd and interesting way, depending on all the other factors and transits at the time. So, speaking of that, right now we have the Venus retrograde going on. So, I made a lot of videos on my channel talking about that. Um, so, Venus will continue to be in retrograde until September 3rd. So, for most of this month, um, most of this month of August, we are going to have Venus and Mercury retrograding. Oh, no, okay, I'm so sorry. Most of this month, we'll have Venus retrograde and Mercury's in the pre shadow phase to its retrograde. And then at the end of the month, it was like August 24th, I think, Mercury goes retrograde. So for just a few weeks, um, Mercury and Venus will be in retrograde at the same time. And then Mercury and Venus will be in retrograde at the same time. I'm sorry, I don't know what I just said. Sorry if that was confusing. And then, yeah, Venus will go direct on September 3rd, I believe. And then Mercury goes direct on September 15th, I believe. So, um, all month we're kind of like building up to a lot of pressure at the end of the month, if that makes sense. Definitely having this the time of Venus also going through its retrograde adds, a layer here, like a dynamic to everything that's going on and all the energy. We just recently had Mercury in conjunction with the Venus retrograde as well. I made a video about that on my channel. So yeah, I'll link that in the description, and maybe some of my Venus retrograde videos where I was talking about the energy involved with that. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting as the month goes on to see how the two, yeah, how everything kind of all works out. There's also a lot of other stuff going on, as there always is, but there's not enough time to talk about everything. Um, and I just made a video for August, just like an August pick a card, not involving like any of the transits or anything, just generally talking about August and what's going on. So I'll have that linked in the description box as well. So yeah, you can check everything out and get all the updates on what's going on around us in the sky, so we can be you know, better prepared. uh, yeah, so we will get right into it. We're using the Modern Witch Tarot. Okay, so right away, okay, so we have the Six of Cups. It came out. It's like kind of the surround the central theme here. So, and then we have the Ten of Swords, the bottom of the deck, and the Wheel of Fortune. So, ooh, and the Two of Swords underneath. So, okay. Okay, so there's something that the first thing I picked up on is there's something that something that you really, really cared about in the past, or something that's really close to your heart, or something that you kind of like associate with your childhood in some way, or something that you feel like was kind of like passed down to you in some way, or gifted to you in some way here is like coming back around. There was an energy in the past of like choosing not to look at something, or choosing to like be in denial, or like ignore something. I'm just hearing it's like choosing to not care about that, or feeling like you have other options, or like it doesn't really matter, or just kind of like being in denial, choosing not to give any time or attention to something, not look at something. It's like being in denial that something is really affecting you, or that you really care about something, or that, yeah, something is, it's like being in denial of like how special something really is, or how much you really care about something here. But then there's some sort of shift, right? With the Wheel of Fortune, it's like the tides are turning here. Something is kind of changing. There's some sort of shift. So it's like no longer being able to be in that, like having your guard up, just kind of like denying how you really feel energy. It's like now, um, there's some sort of shift. I'm also getting with the way this person's looking up at this other one. It's like there's someone here who feels like the other person kind of like got the other upper hand, or the other person is like on top of the situation now, or like um the table's like turned here, and like the other person is in a position of power here, and like the um it's like they refuse to look at something here, or refuse to see something, or refuse to acknowledge how something was affecting them. Just like chose to remain totally unbothered. And then now it's like all of a sudden looking up and realizing that the other person is um like bettering themselves, and like um rising above the situation in some way. So it's making one party feel as though they're like on the bottom here, or like underneath, or like they're the ones losing out or missing out, or they're like underneath the situation in some way. It's like literally looking up, like looking up um literally, right? Like literally looking someone up online and realizing that like they're doing so much better, or they're like rising above the situation, they're like overcoming it and like coming out on top in some way, and then the other party's looking at them like just feeling kind of like they're doing better now, or like they're kind of like above me now in some way. It's like they feel as though you're kind of like out of touch in some way. And so now it's like they can no longer be in denial of how much this is affecting them, or how much this is killing them. It's like they feel kind of like paralyzed or debilitated by like how painful this is. It's like they can't just have their guard up, or like refuse to look at something and just pretend like they don't care. It's like they can't help but like look you up. And it's like whatever they're seeing here, whatever they're seeing is making them realize how much they truly care here, how much they really are affected by the situation in some way. It's like how much this really does hurt them, how much this ending really did affect them in some way. So it's like something that you really cared about in the past. It's like it could have been whenever you were younger here, um, like a long time ago, you really, really cared about this situation. You felt like this super strong affinity towards the situation. But now it's like all these years later. And so this other person is like an adult here now. Like they've kind of like grown up. You've both grown up, right? But you still view the situation as like this childlike love, or something that you had in the past that you really, really cared about when you were younger. Whereas this other person wants to like come back around and revive it, like in present time. Like they are like grown up, and they see the situation like realistically in present time. and they want to like pick up where you left off, like as adults. And then for you, you feel like um you just attach the memory of this situation, even though you really really cared about it a lot. It's like you attach it so much to like when you were younger, or like your childhood in some way. Or it's like for you, when you think about it, it's like you can't get past mentally um like whatever dynamics there were, like whenever you guys were younger, like if you were like teenagers or just like super young. It's like you still see the situation or associate the dynamics of the situation with how things were at that time. Like you can't really like get past it. For you, it's like a thing of the past, and then for them, it's like they still live in that situation almost, because they were like in denial, like they like had their guard up and they had their blinders up to like how much they really cared about it, or how much it really affected them. Could have been for like years, right? And then all of a sudden they like looked you up here, or all of a sudden they like, it's like all of a sudden they looked up one day, or they woke up one day and they realized like you were just like completely on top of the situation, or like you had used the situation to like better yourself and overcome your circumstances and like move forward in a positive way for yourself. And it's like killing them to see that like you were able to like rise above them in some way, or they feel like they're on the bottom, or they're like losing out or missing out in some way, or they're like looking up at the situation. And it's kind of like killing them in a sense. Like there's just like a lot of, it's like they, like I said, they can no longer just like be in denial or hide like how they really feel about this. And so I'm getting this energy of like kind of like obsessively like looking you up like online. And then it's almost to the point where then like when whatever they see is like triggering them and affecting them so much, it's like paralyzing them and preventing them from like being able to like move forward and like go out and like do things and um really like function in their own lives. They're almost in this like depression state, but then they continue to look you up and see what you're doing, even though it's going to trigger them and put them in the state of being like really sad and like barely being able to get out of bed, or like not really wanting to go out and just wanting to like stay in and be like all depressed. But then it's like they can't help but look you up again and see what else you're doing, even though they know it's killing them. It's like because they spent so long like refusing to look at this and just feeling like they had so many other options and so many other things they could be worried about and invested in, and just like they just spent so long like considering all of their different options and how they could like explore the world here, like with the Two of Wands underneath. So it's like they were refusing to like see how much this was really affecting them, or how much they were really losing here, or they were just refusing to really look at it in general. So then they didn't see how much you were just kind of like overcoming this and slowly just like bettering yourself and moving forward. And it's like all of a sudden one day they just realized like you totally rose above this, or like rose out of this and just like moved on in some way. So now they feel like below you, or like they feel like because they kept themselves stuck first, it's like the way they chose to handle it kept themselves stuck. And so now they can kind of see that like they're not like where you are in some way, or they feel like you rose above them, or like you won in some way. And it's like killing them to see you like doing better than them, or um so it's like yeah, first they want to like they want to like come back around and revive something here like as adults, or like in present time, that it's like you did really care about this and at one time. But yeah, it's like you really associate this with a time when you were like really young and naive and you like didn't really know any better. um and for them it's like they're still kind of like living, they like grew up in this memory, like they're still living in this, even if they didn't really mean to, or they were like in denial of it, because they were like in denial of their feelings for so long they didn't recognize like they were still stuck in it, like how much they really cared about it. And so now it's like all these years later and they're still there, whereas you were like, okay, we were just like young kids, like that was so long ago. It's like they're still there. um so they want this like I'm already picking up on, it's like wanting this opportunity to um bring something back around that you both like really cared about at one time. So we have the Hanged Man in reverse. So totally like, okay, so this is kind of what's grounding the situation, and it's like this energy of no longer wanting to be stagnant, no longer wanting to just surrender to the circumstances, no longer just being like, okay, it is what it is, like um there's nothing I can do about it. Like so much time has went on, like now I just have to deal with it. Like I made my bed, like I just have to lie in it. It's like wanting to like get up out of this and like take action and make a change here. So that's like the overall intention, right? So for what's influencing things, we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So even though it's like wanting to come out of this stagnant energy or wanting to like come out of this energy of just surrendering to how things are, there's still this energy of like not wanting to come in and be too hasty, like not wanting to rush in, not wanting to come across too like aggressive. Um, it's like wanting to think it through and not just like rush it. And here, like I heard not wanting to like put the cart before the horse, like wanting to like take your time and be really methodically like practical, like think it through here, right? Like um consider your steps really consciously as you move forward rather than just rushing here. So that's kind of like the overall approach. So that's what's influencing things, is this feeling that they need to like really think things through and take their time and come in with this like cool, calm, collected, logical energy. It's like I'm also hearing it's like they want to come in with this like really smooth, chill energy that's not gonna like freak you out or trigger you or make you feel like they're just kind of like being hasty or rushing, or like they haven't thought this through, or they're just doing this like willy-nilly here. It's like um also just hearing like wanting to come more from a place of like integrity. So we have for what's delaying things, we have the Hermit and the Queen of Cups. So okay, so what's delaying things is, okay, what I was picking up on before, it's like even though they know that looking you up again and seeing what you're doing again is literally just gonna trigger them, hurt them, paralyze them, because it's been like I'm picking up on, it's been like years. Like you're associating this with like years ago, like when you guys were younger, teenagers, kids, like even if you were like young adults, like in your mind you guys were like kids. And so it was like a long time ago, like at least over 5 years, right? Like maybe even like 10, right? Is like a number I originally heard, but it's like at least over 5 years. Um, So you can do whatever you want is what the moral of what I was getting at with that portion is, like you're a grown human and individual that can literally do whatever you want. You have no attachment to this person at all, and you probably maybe don't even know like that this person is like all of a sudden so triggered about this and is like looking you up and like feels like this because it's like been so long. So yeah, I was just saying that to say, so you, yeah, like anyways, that's just perspective. But it's like, okay, but like before, how I was saying, it's like they know that just looking you up and just seeing what you're doing and like checking in on your life is just going to trigger them and hurt them and make them sad and like make them not want to like do anything. Um, they know that like whatever they're going to see here is just going to make them feel some type of way, but it's like they keep doing it. Like right now, they're kind of like stuck in this like self sabotage cycle of just like, yeah, like each sword is like representing like all of these times that they're just like continuing to hurt themselves. Like those memes that are like um it's like if you want to hurt your own feelings, like check their mentions or check their likes or whatever. Like You know what I mean? It's like one of those types of things where it's like you just know that whatever you see is really going to hurt your feelings. So it's like instead of staying stuck in this cycle of like feeling feeling upset that things are the way that they are, feeling hurt because things are the way that they are, feeling stuck because things are the way that they are. It's like recognizing that they are like that because it's been so long and so much time and things happened the way that they did in the past. And so if they don't want to look you up and see these things that are hurting them, it starts with, they're going to have to like reach out to you and, start to make a change in the situation. But as long as they're just continuing to like lay in their bed and be all sad about it and then look you up and see things they don't like and then just feel like there's nothing they can do about it, then nothing's going to change. But it's like if they stop looking you up and like getting hurt and triggered by what you're doing in your life and feeling like you've moved on and now you don't even care about them, and they um just like work on themselves and then like find a way to maybe like bring things back around emotionally, then um things can move in a more positive and healthy direction. But right now, by them continuing to just like look you up and see what you're doing, it's not helping them, it's hurting them, right? Because they just feel like it's like for so long they just like refuse to even like check in on you or see what you're doing or hear about you or like even know anything about you. And then like now there's whatever they're seeing is just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they went so far, or like they feel like you've like ascended so high in your life in some way. And so yeah, the more that they are like looking that up and like giving that energy to that and like letting that hurt them or trigger them or like judging themselves, it's kind of like it's like debilitating them emotionally from being able to move forward. So the what's delaying the situation, it's like they need to kind of just like um with the closing the laptop here, it's like they need to shut out the outside noise. They need to stop looking you up, stop stalking you, like stop like engaging with this like virtual reality or this virtual idea of what's going on, right? Like they need to stop connecting with you in that way of just like like obsessively kind of looking you up online and getting super sad. It's like they need to kind of shut that out and find like inner peace within themselves and find a little bit more confidence within themselves. So yeah, it's like that's what is delaying things is like them. Um, it's like they need to stop like obsessing over the Queen of Cups here. It's like they need to shut off the screen, turn off the phone, shut off the computer, whatever it is, and like stop giving their time and energy and attention to that because it's just kind of making them feel like less than, or it's making them feel just like really triggered to see like whatever they're seeing when they're like curious about what you're doing. It's not helping them, right? It's like hurting them more than it's helping them to move forward. Is That's kind of what's delaying them in being able to make a change here or to bring things back around emotionally in some way. And also that's what's keeping them kind of like stuck in this situation rather than being able to just see it for what it is in the past and then realizing you could have something kind of like new potentially as adults in present time right now. And like the past could just be what the past is because those are very different versions of who you are. It's like now you're completely different people. So instead of like seeing that and getting really triggered and feeling like less than or making that feeling like they're like below you in some way. It's like they could see it as an opportunity to just have like a completely different like circumstance or like life dynamic together in some way. So it's like, yeah, they need to kind of cut out the noise here, shut off the distractions, the things that are really triggering them, and find like a sense of inner peace and just go with it's like once they silence the noise here, then they'll just want to like go with the way that they feel towards the divine feminine here, right? um, rather than just being like, oh my gosh, whatever they're seeing online is like making their insecurities tell them like all this stuff and their ego tell them all this stuff, and that's just like putting them in this like emotional trap and like stopping them from being able to move forward. So as soon as they shut all of that off, then it's like the way that they naturally feel is going to like overpower the situation, right? And that's going to be like what helps them move forward and like grow into something new here, whether it's with you again or in a different direction. Right. So we have the Eight of Swords. So 100%. So um they're kind of I think I even said this. I thought it was interesting that the Eight of Swords hadn't came out yet. That's so funny. I had that like thought. Because it's like, yeah, they 100% they're keeping themselves trapped and stuck by they know that like continuing to look you up and like um yeah, give all this energy and attention to this is what's kind of keeping them stuck here and keeping them feeling like they can't move forward. Is that being debilitated emotionally? It's like they're like holding themselves hostage by like continuing to give their energy to this here, because it's like whatever they're seeing is like triggering them and just like um making them feel really overwhelmed emotionally. It's like borderline like kind of like being depressed, right? In a way, right? It's like just triggering them into this like kind of sadness, but then it's like you're feeding the depression by continuing to go and like look this stuff up or check into like this person's page and see what they're doing, and then you know that like they're going to be thriving and doing well and like doing fun cool things, and then that makes you really sad, and it's like this cycle of like self-sabotage. It's like preventing them from being able to move forward. So it's like needing to like shut that off, right? And like cut that out and just like take care of themselves, take time for themselves here. So we have the Queen of Wands and the Three of Cups. So this is like the recommended action in the situation. So what I'm getting from this here is like going back to what I was saying earlier, where it was like this has been a really, really long time, and you probably don't even know this person is looking you up like this. And so you're not purposely doing anything in such a way to like hurt anyone. Like you're not purposely posting whatever you're posting online or like sharing whatever you're sharing about your life to like hurt someone or to be like, "Oh, I'm so much better. I'm so much more moved on than you." Like this is so far in your past to you that you don't even maybe even think about this, or like if you do, you just like think about like how meaningful that was to you. It's like these really positive nostalgic memories. It was really special to you. But I'm just getting like for you, it was just so long ago that like whenever you're doing certain things, you're not purposely trying to hurt this person. It's like they're doing that to themselves, right? And so you're not doing anything wrong by like going out and living your best life and having fun. It's like if you go out and just like have fun with your friends, get together with your friends. Earlier I saw a scene of like going hiking and like getting together with your friends and like going and hiking really cool adventurous places, or like getting together and like going to cool like breweries together, or like just going out with your friends and like having a good time, going dancing. um Whatever you do that kind of like draws attention to you or draws the spotlight on you, or kinds of shines a light on you in a positive way, or like whatever you do that's like going out and engaging with others, engaging with your friends and having a fun time, continue to do that. Like don't stop doing those things. Don't stop having a fun time, or don't stop like growing as a person and shining your light and like putting your light out in the world and like radiating just the light that is about you. Because yeah, that's a really positive thing, and it's like what I'm seeing here is it's like you have a lot of like friends around you that really enjoy your energy and your light, and like you really light up the room. Like you have a lot of like friends and people around you who just really enjoy getting together and hanging out with you, and they really enjoy like the energy you give off and that you bring. And so that could just be what this person is picking up on. Like when they go and they're looking about, they're just seeing that there's all these people around you that really like you or care about you, or they have fun with you, they really enjoy you. It's like you could get a lot of attention from others online, from like places that you go or things that you're involved in. And but it's like you're not doing this purposely for that. Like you're just trying to live your best life and be in your own power, right? Do your own thing. And that's just kind of like others are just naturally drawn into that. So you're not doing anything wrong. So it's like spirit is just saying to continue to do that and like be yourself and shine your light. And yeah, like don't let anybody like stop you or anything stop you, or like if you know in your heart that you have good intentions and you're just um trying to have a good time and like uplift others and let them do the same for you, then don't ever feel bad about it, or don't apologize for being yourself, or feel like you have to like change who you are or dim yourself down. It's like not your fault that there could be someone from your past that like looks at you and the way that you live your life and feels kind of like less than, or like they're below you now. Because from what we're getting here, it's like they're doing that to themselves, right? Um, they're the ones that it's like are kind of keeping themselves in this cycle by it's like their own inability to like shut this stuff off. And they're having a hard time, moving out of this situation here, like growing from whatever you guys had in the past. But that's not your fault. That is because of the way that they handled things in the past, right? Like they thought like, oh, okay, I have so many options, like I have so many other things I can focus on, or work towards, or go travel and do and whatever. And so they were like in denial here of how they really felt. So like they're the ones that chose to like put blinders up and just shut out their feelings and just let all this time pass by without really acknowledging things. And then it's like they all of a sudden decided to acknowledge it, and then they realize like where they were at in comparison to you or something along those lines. And it's like now this is they it's like killing them, and they're like stuck in this kind of like cycle of self-sabotage. Like they just really feel like stuck here, and it's really affecting them emotionally. But that's just a product of how they chose to handle things. It's like again they're doing this to themselves, or like they're putting themselves in this here. And they did by like reacting to the situation the way that they did. So it's like for you, you chose to just kind of like grow as a person and like grow from this and like lean on your friends, let your friends kind of like build you up, like still go out and have a good time and enjoy yourself here. And so that shows, and that like radiates, and that like kind of speaks for itself. So yeah, spirit is saying to continue to do that here. And it's like this person is kind of going through their own thing and like working out their own thing within themselves. And so that's not like anything you need to take on, right? That's not your fault. That's not weight that you need to carry, or like it's not your responsibility to acclimate to where this person is at, like emotionally, or how they chose to like react to the situation over time, right? Yeah, so we have the Emperor and the Death card. So just because like with the Hermit and the Queen of Cups, I was getting it's like the other party is like having a hard time shutting out and not looking up the Divine Feminine. So it doesn't surprise me that the Emperor is now coming out here. It's like the end result of the situation right now is like the Divine Masculine is having a hard time ending the cycle. Like the Divine Masculine is having a hard time kind of learning the lessons that need to be learned here in order to close out the cycle and be able to move forward and empower themselves, and like grow from the situation in the same way that you have. So it's like they're just a little bit stuck right now. They're having a hard time like letting things letting certain things go, and allowing uh in letting things go, it's like you allow your perspective to kind of shift and change. And it's like they're having a hard time letting go. Also, with the Six of Cups, it's like they are having a hard time letting go of the past. It's like they're still in it, right? Like they're still stuck in like the way things were like in the past. So it's like they need to they're resisting letting go of like however they viewed something or however something was in the past, and so they're not allowing themselves to grow from the situation in the way that they need to in order to continue to mature within themselves and be like the stability that they need in their own life here. Yeah, they're resisting that like shift in perspective, or like resisting being able to let go of like the way that things were in the past, or the way that they felt in the past, or it's like also being able to like let go of the situation, like now that they kind of like look you up and um they see things here, it's like um yeah, it's like they're having a hard time kind of like letting go of you in general here, um or they're having a hard time like fully letting go of the situation and like fully letting it come to an end here, and like letting whatever happened in the past. And it's like they're still somewhat kind of hung up on like however things ended or however things went down in the past. So it's like they've never really allowed it to like fully end or like fully cycle out, so then you could have like a full new fresh start in the future. It's like they're still hanging on to however it was back then or however things ended back then. It's like they can't quite let like the past die or like let the past go, so then you wouldn't be able to like revive it in the future. So like even if you were to revive it in the future, they haven't let go of the past, so they would still carry like whatever happened like back in the day or like when you were younger, they would still carry that like into the relationship today, right? Like they wouldn't be able to be very like mature here and grounded. It's like they would, yeah, still like carry all of that energy with them. It's like they haven't allowed that part of their life to really like die here and like come to an end and like cycle out. So it's like they, one, they're not able to like move forward for themselves in their own life, and then two, you guys wouldn't be able to like move forward and have like a fresh start together, because there's like this imbalance to where it's like they're still in it like how it was in the past, and like for you, you feel like that was like so long ago and you guys were like such young little children that it's like you're not even in, like you can't even begin to like put yourself there anymore, right? Because you're like, well, that was like a totally different version of me. Like I was like a little kid, so I don't even know how to like receive like what you're offering to me anymore. Like you would need that person to like be able to totally let that go and then like grow themselves, um like mature into like what they need to be in their own lives, so they could kind of like meet you where you are right now, and then you could have like a new fresh start, um just like as adults, like a new completely different relationship, right? That was like separate from this other relationship that you had like years ago when you were completely different versions of who you are now, like such younger children versions of who you are now, right? It's like there needs to be this like disconnect in the middle to where it's like you recognize it's like it was so long ago, you were so young that it's like you could have been like with different people almost, right? Does that make sense? Like um once you're like 36, for example, the person that you dated when you were 14, like if you were to meet that person again at 36 and 36, um you're such completely different people by that point that it's like the couple that was together at 14, it's like that could have been like a completely different person. And Ooh, trash. Throwing away, getting rid of, tossing out. So I feel like for you, it's like over time you've kind of like decluttered your life or like cleared things out from the past. Like you haven't really hung on to stuff quite as much. It's been easier for you to like let things go, and like maybe at one point you did just kind of like burn everything from the past, and but like with that you actually like process out and like felt the emotions you needed to feel in order to like release it and let it go. So it's like you don't necessarily hang on to stuff and like live in the past in the same way. So it's like now you're a completely different person, so you don't even relate to like who you were, um like whenever you were younger and involved in this situation. Outdated, expires, discussed, old news, discarded. So yeah, that's how you feel. Like you view like with all of this like CDs, cassette tapes, like in this relationship could have been a time where there were like CDs or cassette tapes, right? Like could have been from back in the day, but also it's like you view the situation as the same way. It's like when you look back at like when you would play your tapes or your CDs, right? It's like those are really fond memories, and you had so much fun like when you were a kid or when you were younger and you would jam out to your little CD player, or your parents would play records or whatever the case is. Those are really fond memories, and you love to look back on that and think about that, but it's like you think about that today now, and it's like that wouldn't work now, in present time, right? We don't have a lot of cars that have like tapes or even CDs really anymore. Like nobody really carries around their CD players. So it's like investing in CDs or tapes wouldn't be very, it would be kind of hard, right? Um, yeah, it wouldn't work as well. Even those are super fond memories. It's like we all love looking back on the way that all that stuff was. It's like that just wouldn't, it wouldn't work in today's times. You couldn't enjoy these things to the degree that you could at one time. The record player, I feel like that's like kind of still a big thing. But anyways, you couldn't enjoy these things the way that you could at one time. It's the same like with the relationship. Like when you look back on that, it's like such fond memories. Like you just love like the way that it was back then, but it's like you feel as though now, um, like trying to, have that same relationship the way that it was back then in today's times, like just wouldn't work, right? Like, um, it wouldn't be able to translate into a lot of scenarios and settings in today's time. Like, you could maybe find a couple things that it would work out, like just like with this here, like you could maybe find certain ways to play these still today, but it's just not as easy, or it doesn't flow, it's not as cohesive as if you had like an iPod or iPhone or a phone in general or whatever, it's the same with the relationship. It's like there maybe could be certain environments or certain things that you could do together that did work, but as far as like everyday functionality of a relationship and being able to like fully be yourself and comfortably live your life with another person, it's like it just wouldn't fully work. Especially if it's like you were they're trying to have the hang on to the way that things were in the past, or have like the same dynamics of how it was in the past. It's like you can't bring that into today's times. Like it just doesn't translate, it doesn't work the way that it did back then. And so it's like there needs to be this, this other person needs to be able to let go of the way that things were and the attachment that they have, the emotional attachment that they have to the way that things were in the past, and be willing to um, like rework or regroup things and figure out how to like modernize, or just how to like grow within themselves to be able to meet the relationship where it is today, or where, be able to like meet you where you are right now today in present time, and like have a relationship based off of like who you are today in the present, right? um would be like the only way that it would like work, is if you could kind of like learn each other now as you are right now, how you function right now in today's world and today's time, instead of constantly thinking or referencing back to like the way that it was or how it was like in the past. We have sports, uh, players into games. So this could be like confirmation, like your person that you dated in the past or had a relation in the past or just an emotional connection with in the past could really be into sports. That could be something they really enjoy doing, is like sitting around watching sports. So that could be confirmation. Or you could feel like this person is still kind of playing the same games that they did like in the past. Like they haven't really, they're still in the same place that they were emotionally. So it's like if they used to be kind of like a player, play the field, tried to play a lot of games, it's like you can see that they're still kind of in the same place. They haven't really grown or moved out of that. Um, but it's like if it this used to work like when you guys were kids, like you used to fall for their games, or like this used to work, like whatever the emotional dynamic that you guys had, it's like yeah, this may have worked out for them in the past. They were able to play a lot of games, but now their tactics are like outdated, and so it's like really easy for you to see through it and to see that they're still on those same games. It's like now when they try it, now that you guys are so much older, so much time has passed, it's like now when they try these same games, you're just like, oh, it's so funny that you're like still in the same place emotionally, or like you're still trying that and you think that I would fall for that. Like it's just like it obviously doesn't work anymore, or it's like obviously some sort of like outdated tactic in some way, right? So it's like you easily kind of see through it. And we have fulfilling a fantasy. So yeah, this person, like because so much time has went by, you could be kind of like a fantasy to this person at this point. So um being able to bring things back around or like revive some sort of emotional connection is like fulfilling some sort of fantasy for them, and you can kind of see that, like you can kind of see through it here and see that they have some sort of like weird obsession for you, like even with them like looking you up all the time and getting like super triggered by you, and it's like the whole thing, like what's delaying them from being able to move forward is like them not obsessing over you. It's like they need to kind of just shut off the internet and like stop like stalking you here. So it's like they've kind of like built you up in their mind to be like this fantasy. It's like they're kind of like obsessed at this point, and it's like if you're not really interested or you don't really care anymore, they could see it as like this hard to get type of like game here. So now they fantasize about being able to like revive this because it's like some sort of challenge. Um, but again, like their tactics are like outdated, or like you easily see through it, or you easily see like how it's not going to work, or how they haven't like really grown in some way, and so it's just like not, it just like doesn't even work in some way here. Self care, balance. Taking time to replenish your mind, body, and soul is a must. Enjoy this time to reconnect and make yourself a priority. Ask yourself, what is serving me and what is taking from me? Much can be revealed when you stop putting yourself at the bottom of the list. Patience needed, timing. Be mindful not to rush or push your agenda at this time. Trust in divine timing and less in instant gratification. Having patience allows everything to unfold as it should. The seeds have been planted, now let them grow. So that's your advice from Spirit. I kind of want to get one card to see like what this person would say to you, because there's like obviously it's like one other person here. Realizing how much I messed up has left me crushed. Oh, and I also picked up, I will wait for the right moment to come find you. It's like, even though they know they messed this up, they're like still trying to play games in some way. So it's like they still need to grow emotionally in some way or mature in some way. It's hard to forget you when so many things remind me of you. Okay, let's get one. Take that one. Okay. Embrace your emotions. Don't push down your feelings or judge your emotions. So that's the bottom of the deck. So yeah, this is advice for your other person here. It's like because of the way they chose to handle this for so long, of just like pushing down their emotions and just being in denial of how much it was really affecting them, that really didn't serve them, right? So yeah, that's not learning to like be friends with the inner beast of what is our emotions can be really beneficial. It can be our friend. It can be our guide and our help and our tool, and it can, harness our intuition. And we don't want to shut ourselves off from our emotional state, because it really does prevent us from being able to grow and move forward and move out of things. And it cuts off our connection to spirit and the divine and uh, or like I said, our intuition, all the things. It could do tons and tons of damage, years and years of damage, right? So someone around you is obviously kind of learning that. We have faith. Trust your faith in this situation. So all these butterflies here, is like, okay, for you, you were able to really transform out of this and let all of the lessons that you've learned and all of the stuff that you had to kind of go through and overcome out of the situation, you let all of that kind of like carry you forward. And so you were a lot more hopeful and optimistic to move into a new life or a better direction for yourself, right? Like you really let all of this, the pain and all of this, like you allowed yourself to grow from it and for it to kind of carry you forward and transform into something different, into another place, right? Like you went on like a journey and you really moved into a different space emotionally because of this. And like you also personally transformed. It's like your environment, like you allowed spirit to carry you out of this into like a better place physically, but then also like within yourself emotionally, right? And so you've come really far on your journey. So it's like have faith here, like don't let go of the faith and continue to allow yourself to grow and change and transform and be carried by spirit. And continue to hold your faith. Like don't allow yourself to get like tested and tempted here and kind of like throw in the towel right before the finish line, if you will. So yeah, even maybe like if you're going through a period of like where your faith is a little weary and you are being kind of tested and it's not as strong at that time, and then this person kind of comes in. It's like you could be a little bit more emotionally vulnerable than you normally would be when you're just kind of like rising above everything and letting everything carry you forward. So it's like allow yourself to kind of like stay strong and continue to rise above all of the things that have had to like test you, or all of the things that have been really difficult here. So I'm going to read the book for you. Embrace your emotions. Don't push down your feelings or judge your emotions. Feelings and emotions are part of who you are. Allow yourself to feel what is going on for you. Your feelings signal you to the truth of a situation. Take positive steps to determine why you are feeling the way you feel. So I feel like you really did do this in the past. That's not something you struggled with. It's something the other person did with the bottom of the deck energy here. Have faith. Trust your faith in this situation. When we truly believe that things will work out, that faith will confidently see us through. The angels are with you. This is something that you can have complete faith in. Knowing simple truths will give you the answers that you are seeking. Love is an act of faith. So yeah, waiting, having the like faith to wait for the right thing is a huge act of love, right? Towards our future partners, and trusting in the angels and the divine to help carry us forward into the best thing for us if we've had to kind of like let go and overcome and grow and transform out of really difficult, uncomfortable situations that kind of like isolated us into a healing, or you may have went through like a dark night of the soul type of transformation, and now you kind of come out of it and you're more lighthearted and carefree, and like you have fun with your friends, and you're able to enjoy yourself, and you're kind of like growing and building your life again, and a lot of people are drawn into you. um, with the Queen of Wands, it's like a lot of people are drawn to you because they see your story or see what you've been through here. Like it's like really inspiring to others. um but yeah, you're able to just kind of like have a good time now, or have like a completely different environment around you, or a group of people around you where you're able to be like more free and open and loving, express yourself more authentically, be more vulnerable with the people around you, just like have more fun, lighthearted times. um but yeah, it's like you're drawing in um the right type of connections and social situations for you, right? And that's already kind of proving and showing, like with your friends or the environments that you're in. So continue to hold faith that when it comes to like a romantic situation in your life, or like a partnership, spirit is going to continue to assist you and carry you and help you grow to get to the place that you need to be in to attract that type of love into your life, right? Um, I'm also getting it's this energy of like if you already are in a relationship, and that's going really well, it's like this energy of meeting a lot of other people who have also, it's like you're drawing in your tribe. It's like meeting a lot of other people who have been through these similar experiences, and also have had to kind of like grow and transform and rise above their circumstances and trust in spirit to carry them forward. And that shows on them too. It kind of reflects on them, and they have this certain look about them that kind of like draws others in here too. And so it's like safe to trust the direction that you're being pulled, or like the people that you're being drawn towards. It's like this is spirit carrying you to um, the types of people who are going to like see what you've been through and appreciate you for who you are and just want to like celebrate with you. It's like your tribe here, like your soul tribe of like people you can count on to help build you up and lift you up emotionally, people you can lean on and trust, and like people you can like get together and have fun times and good times with, and then also um like trust to be there for you on the more emotional level as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have. So, yeah, thank you so much. If you watched this far into the reading, I really appreciate it. And if you want to get a more personal reading from me, you can click the link in my description. Um, I hope you have a really great night and a really safe Mercury pre shadow period the next few weeks. Thank you.